Understanding and knowing that having an internal lead system as a life insurance agent or agency owner is going to be the key to your growth in the next 365 days. My name is Trey. I'm the owner of Agent Lead Lab. In the past 3.5 years, we've helped over 550 agents issue pay $40,000 per month. And on this channel, my whole job is to try and let you all know the thought process, the systems, and the ideas that we are currently using to ensure that our agents have success consistently. So as always, please make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and let's hop right into the video. So I'm going to be going over something that I think is super important to understand, which is that the early adopters of an internal lead system will see the biggest wins. Okay. Now, first of all, let's talk about what is an internal lead system. Okay. Now, this is not you hiring somebody to run ads. This is not you getting a CRM. This is you hiring someone to build an infrastructure that is branded and has identity. Then also creating a system around that. Or I'm sorry, let me take that back. Step number one is you getting the leads in. Okay. So lead generation. All right. Because a lead system is not just generating leads. Most people are like, yeah, I work with this guy or I'm running ads. It's like, no. You're not generating, you don't have a lead system. You're just doing lead gen. That's only one step, right? The second thing is, where do the leads go? So a lot of people think like, okay, cool. Well, I can just take them to where? Okay, like a Google Sheet. That's totally fine, right? Yeah, CRM, right? Those are really only two places, truthfully, that we've ever seen. And then the last step, after you figure out where the leads go, is like, what is your sales process? Okay, so the sales process, it's like, all right, well, what does this mean? Like, how do I work my leads? Okay, so it's how do you work your leads? Now, there's a few different ways you can do it, right? Some people just go off hand dial, right? Some people have automated dialers, right? Then the question is, you're gonna have your scripts, right? So that's gonna be intro, pre-frame, value building, pitching, closing, right? It's pretty simple, okay? Then after that, you have your follow-up, okay? So what is your follow-up? Let's say you don't get to the call. It's like, are you using AI? Are you manually following up? Do you have reminders for payments, draft dates, policy reviews? Okay. Then, so that's your sales process. So that is like, you are getting leads. So like step one is like lead generation. Step two is where did leads go? Step three is what is your sales process? Step four is how do you build? Okay. So then it's like, are you using like Indeed? Are you using Facebook ads? Are you using like recruiters? So you're paying for somebody? Okay. Or are you doing like referrals? Is it your social media? Right? It's like, what are you doing to actually get these clients in? And how are you building your team? How are you gaining momentum? Okay. So this is essentially what you need, right? And then how do you ensure everyone gets the same outcome? Scalability, especially in the life insurance space and anything, is ensuring that people can get the same outcome relatively close. Right now, there's a lot of factors that go into it. But if people plug in to the same leads on the front end, they're being generated the same, right? They know exactly, they do the same process of where the leads go. Hey, we put all our leads in a Google Sheet. We don't use CRMs, right? Hey, we use a CRM. We don't use Google Sheets. Hey, we do a combo of both. Perfect. Hey, here's our sales process. Now that we generate the leads, they've landed. What do? How do you work the leads? Are you hand dialing? How frequently are you calling? What dialers are we using? Are we running through leads? And because our lead generation is like really cheap leads, are we buying data? Like, that's still a lead system, right? Then from there, it's like, okay, how do I call these clients? It's like, you have your script, which is your intro. You got your pre-frame. You have value building, which is essentially like figuring out what is important to them, okay, to figure out what's necessary, pitching, and then closing. And then us for closing is basically just running through an app and seeing if they get approved, right? And making sure like, hey, look, we can sit here and talk all day, but like we do have to put an application in. And then from there, we'll determine on like if we need to move forward, which in most cases, it wouldn't be this place if you didn't want to. So let's go ahead and assess and figure out what's going to make the most sense. Okay. Then the follow up, right? And this is pre and post. So let me put this in here because I'm just putting it in here pre and post. So what that means is like, do you have a follow up system? Because when the client books, how do you book appointments? Right? Is it manual or is it with an AI? How many reminders are you sending? Right? Are you calling? I know some people they FaceTime leads. Like there's so many different ways to work these to ensure that you're successful, right? And then you have reminders, right? So it's after they pay. So it's going to be payment due date reminders, draft dates, policy reviews. Some people said like we have some clients they send uh, like essentially like a newsletter that kind of says like, hey, like it's January. Here's the information on like the most recent on like infinite banking or the most recent on like final expense policy and kind of what you can expect and how much they'll cost and etc. For you to tell your friends and family or if you're interested in this, right? And some people can kind of like upsell. They create more or less of a community, right? The next thing is how do you build? Okay, so there's a few different ways that you can build your team. You can use Indeed, right? And this is like Indeed, ZipRecruiter, right? This platforms where essentially it's like platforms where you pay for views slash potential apps. Okay. Then you have ads, right? So I said put Facebook ads, but it's just like ads. So this could be like Google, TikTok, YouTube, etc. So you're actually like paying to run ads. So this is paid traffic. Okay. Then you have recruiters, right? So this is actually you paying somebody who will go out and probably use these platforms, but you don't need to actually do it yourself. It's not manual. You're just paying kind of like higher ticket. You're like, hey, go out and give me these people. They bring the people back to you and you scale that way. You have referrals, where it's just like, hey, these people, do you know anybody who needs a job opportunity? So it's like friends and family or even potential clients that know other people. And then you have social media. So it's like organic posting, letting people know kind of what exactly it would look like to potentially work with you, right? So from there, the last thing is how do you ensure everybody gets the same outcome? So you being able to scale is like, all right, well, if we do all these things, and I know that I grew my business, if I can write all these out and build SOPs, then I can almost ensure that the people that come in are going to be pretty much in the same boat, relatively speaking. Now you can't guarantee their success because at the end of the day, like there's other factors that play into this, but knowing and understanding that your most valuable asset is the internal lead system that you create because it starts with the lead. That's why it's called a lead system. People are like, yeah, I just want an in-house system. It's like, okay, well, what does that mean? Because some people will be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, it starts with the leads. Like, okay, all right. And we always talk about this. So like, do you have control? It doesn't matter. It's like yes or no. That's going to determine how successful this is. Because like none of this other stuff matters if you don't have leads. Because if you can't make money, you can't recruit, you can't tell people how to do it, etc. And or if you're doing organic and you can't create an influx, you cannot scale. So you don't have a system. You don't put enough in, you get enough out. Like it doesn't work like that. So do you have control? Right? Yes or no? Right? Do you have do you have I'm just going to call it like knowledge slash IQ, right? Or wisdom or whatever words you want to use to be innovative? Yes or no? And if you don't have that, can you pay somebody to do it? That's another thing. Like if you don't know, it's like, all right, cool. Like I'm working with a client right now. They just onboarded. And one of the things that they brought up was like, we have all these creative ideas. And I'm like, yo, that's wonderful. What's kind of like the issue? And they were like, well, we haven't been able to make them come to life. I'm like, cool. So you have a lot of ideas, but you don't know how to like turn that into an actual offer or for you, like essentially a way to market to people. Because not everybody wants to do like what I'm about to go through in a second, but everybody wants to do that, right? And I'm going to write down here like custom lead system. Not everybody wants to do the traditional route. They don't want to do vets or final expense or niche or they're like, I want to create my own lane based off of desires. I'm just going to be leveraging life insurance to do that, right? And it's like, okay, well, if you leverage life insurance in a unique way, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think the people that fill out your forms are going to be filling out everybody else's forms? Probably not, because it's going to feel different, it's going to look different, it's going to be different. If you do what everybody else does, you'll probably have the same outcome. That's why when we like sell leads and we do things like that, it's very predictable, input, output. But people don't like that sometimes because they're like, they want something a little bit more customizable. Hence is why the early adopters of the internal lead system are going to see the biggest wins. They're going to have the biggest ROI. They're going to make the biggest splashes. And then eventually, just like this with everything else, there'll be a wave of people that come in and that'll be the next thing that people need to focus on and do. But right now, people that can get into this and understand how to scale this are going to put themselves in the best position to succeed. So let's talk about the different types of lead systems, and then we'll go into custom lead system. So you have a vet lead system. So let's run through that what look like, right? Do you have control of your lead generation? A lot of people that do vets typically don't, right? If they do, it's a high lever pool, right? Do you have knowledge, IQ, wisdom to be innovative? Typically it's yes, you can. But the angles aren't endless with vets. They're more extensive than maybe some other niches because they're already necessarily a niche, and it's kind of like a whole demographic within a demographic. So like they're still final expense, but they're kind of not. Where do the leads go? Right, you can make that decision. A lot of people that do vets typically put them in a Google sheet. Right, some of them use CRMs. Right, and then it's like, okay, do you have your dedicated follow-up sequence, your emails, your notification, your drip responses, etc. Right, this is where your AI. I'm not going to go into depth on this. I can record a whole nother video, but essentially, like, where do the leads actually go? Then it is like, what's your sales process? Okay, so like, how do you work the leads? Are you, if they're cheaper leads, you probably want to automate a dialer, rip through them as fast as you can. If they're more expensive leads, relatively speaking, then you can probably just like hand dial them or use a dialer on your computer or laptop with maybe like local ID presence that can help out with like pickup rates, etc. Then it's like, okay, what's your sales process? It's like intro, pre-frame, value build, pitching, closing. It's like, okay, so what is your intro? And that's determined on what the client is seeing. Okay, what is the pre-frame? How are you actually framing these vets that like this is like you have unique benefits and you have a unique way that you could, like, the VA is trying to tell you if you have life insurance, but you don't. So it's like, hey, look, like, we can show you what life insurance is. These are the benefits that you get as a veteran, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then you just explain that to them, right? You build value in what they're looking for and why they want it. You attach that value to something and you pitch them the options, right? Gold, silver, bronze, silver, gold, diamond, package 1, package 2, package 3, whatever names you want to call them, right? And then you close them, right? Or you have them apply. Follow up, typically, text message, email responses, etc. Reminders of payment dates, draft dates, super important for this demographic, and then policy reviews. Right. And then you want to just stay on these people because so many people are running ads for vets. It's like, there's going to be people trying to come behind you. Right. And then how do you build people that are looking for this? It means social media is an easy one. You write a lot of business and you can get people up and running really fast. So what's going to happen? People are probably going to say, hey, I want to do this. I'm not sure if Indeed ZipRecruiter would work really well for this type of scaling your own internal lead system for your agency. Facebook ads probably would. Recruiters probably wouldn't, and referrals will. So I would say maybe referrals, social media, Facebook ads. Right. And then how do you ensure everybody gets the same outcome? This is pretty simple, right? Like, this is a super scalable lead system if it's something you want to do, but it will have churn and burn. And depending on how you set it up and where you get these leads from will relatively determine how successful your agents actually are and how much money they actually make. Final expense, let's go into that. So do you have control? Yes or no? Most people don't for final expense, but you can. It's a relatively easy setup when it comes to running ads, etc. Do you have knowledge and wisdom to be innovative? Pretty difficult to be innovative with this demographic because the same things kind of make them tick. You can go with like the state regulated approach. You can go with the final expense program approach. You can go with the life insurance benefits for seniors approach. That's really it. I mean, yeah, there's a few different like unique angles you can come at within that niche, but it's hard to make different niches, right? Most people do Google Sheet or CRM. This has been around for a long time. So there's a lot more like workflows, follow-ups, and systems that people have built. Not necessarily a lead system fully, but for where the leads go, they've done a really good job of that, right? Then it's like, okay, what's your sales process? So a lot of people use automated dollars for these leads because they're more of a volume play. You get it for a lot cheaper rate. You can also generate them for a cheap rate. Same thing for the script. So intro, very straightforward, very direct. Pre-frame, associating value based off what they need. So final expense, so it's going to be, burial or cremation. And then it's going to be supplemental income. Then it's going to be equity protection. Those are really the three ways that you can build the pre-frame on what they need. You build value in that. You pitch them the three: gold, silver, bronze, right? Silver, gold, diamond, package 1, package 2, package 3, small, medium, large, like however you want to say it. It doesn't matter. And then you close them and you put them in for an app, right? Post is going to be the same thing as vet. So you really don't want to follow up with them. I wouldn't book appointments. So I didn't talk about pre for vets, but let me go back. Like, same thing. You can book appointments. Typically, you can one call close them. But final expense is kind of like don't really book appointments. You just go ahead and close them. A lot of people do a lot of like manual following up, just in terms of like the client. And then afterwards, the biggest thing I think for these people would be like payment dates, draft dates, and then policy reviews. And you can get a lot of referrals as well. I think this one you could do Indeed because this is just basic like life insurance. People know that they're going to be dealing with final expense, Facebook ads, recruiters. I wouldn't pay somebody to bring me people. Referrals and social media also work well, right? And then how do you ensure everybody gets the same outcome? This is very scalable, meaning that like it's very simple to get people to make money in final expense. The problem is that it just has a lot of chargebacks, a lot of like replacement policies, etc. Mortgage lease system. Okay, so let's go back to the top. Do you have control? Now, most people don't, but it's relative. So you got like mail houses, mail drops. Um, you have people that do it digitally. That's really it. A lot of people struggle digitally. We've tended to do pretty well, and there's a few other companies out there that do really well in terms of like generating quality mortgage protection leads. But this is probably the most this IUL and not even annuity. This and IUL or like advanced market, whatever you want to call it. You do have 100% the ability to be innovative. Like so, you can come from so many different angles. You can come from like traditional homeowners. You can come from refinance. I mean, like if I was like creating my own infrastructure, I would be doing all sorts of stuff. Like I would break it down even further. I'd go like new homeowners, right? And I'd have a whole pitch and breakdown for that. I'd go like refinanced. And then from there, I would just go like standard. So I'd have like my 3 buckets, right? And then from there, I would just target only homeowners and pitch more like asset protection, like protecting their assets. Because the thing is, bringing them in for what they need, it doesn't really matter. It's like once you get them in the ecosystem, and I'm learning that even with what I'm doing with like agents, it's like I can say, hey, do you want to build your own internal lead system or do you just want leads? And essentially, they're all really the same. Like the agency owner is still an individual agent. It's not like when you're a business owner and you're a sales rep, right? Like there's few and far between agency owners that completely just don't sell. And those that do typically aren't filling out ads, right? And they typically don't need like lead systems because they're already making a lot of money. At that point, they're looking for ways to like maybe add like softwares, you know what I mean? But if they're still an individual agent, they probably have an agency, they still want to grow, they would probably be a good fit for us. So it just depends on like who you're looking for. And that's the same thing with mortgage. It's like, well, okay, I want to go after mortgage protection. It's like, well, you really just need homeowners. Like if you're good at selling, you build value based off of their pain points, but you need homeowners. So you can be really innovative. But the question is like, do you know how to do that? Right? Where do the leads go? A lot of people work these in a CRM because they're a little bit more like traditional in terms of like follow up and just like email reminders, stuff like that. They're a lot more responsive. Sales process, a lot of people do hand out with these unless you're just buying in bulk and aged because you don't need as many leads to make as much money. That's the beauty of it, right? And when I say handout, I don't mean like directly off your phone. I don't mean like from your personal number. I apologize. I mean like directly off your phone. Like you don't have to bang a dialer and let it just rip through 300 leads at a time. You just kind of work your lead list as you go, right? Now, for the script, there's so many things you can do to customize this. As I said earlier, if you're building one that's like more tailored towards homeowners or more tailored towards like equity in the home, then it makes more sense. It's like, okay, well, I think that probably the best way to do it is base it off of how you're bringing that client in. So if you're looking for like people that are refinancing, it's like, hey, just give me a quick call. You filled out one of our ads. It was talking about like how homeowners who are refinancing can protect the equity in their home, right? You listed that you currently have, a mortgage balance of 350,000 and you're making blah, blah, blah. Is that right? And they're like, yeah. It's like, okay, cool. Then you just roll into it. The beautiful thing too is that the thing about the lead system that I love is that so many times, right, when you're just buying leads, you're like, I need data points, I need data points, I need data points. When you're generating your own leads, you don't really need data points. You need to know what the client saw so you can paint the picture without having the questions. So you increase the opt-in rate, but the quality is still there. So if you're like, hey, look, like I just need name, email, phone number, state, most people will be like, that's not a good enough lead. But if you know what to say, it is. You only need the additional stuff when you don't really know what to say because you need to convince them that they filled it out. If it's like, yo, I'm not convincing you, it's like, okay, I'm just calling you. Like my people, if they fill out more questions, yes, that shows me their intent a little bit more. But if I just need leads and people to call that were genuinely interested, and I'm going to focus on my sales, then I can put less questions on the front end, right? And that's kind of like where I like to go because mean, I'll take more leads. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's always been my thought process. So intro, pre-frame based off the value in the front end, what they're doing, pitching, right? Or value building, I'm sorry, based off of what they need. So mortgage is unique. It's only going to have really like 3 or 4 things, right? It's going to be like assets, right? So anything that you actually own. So that can be your home. There could be a lot of different things. It's going to be the income, right? So if this happens to Susie or to John, like what happens to you? Do you get that income, right? Do you have other people that will be affected by that income? So you have your assets, you have your income, and then you just have like your funeral and final expenses. And those are different, even though it's kind of in income, but it's different because it'd be like you saying, well, somebody who makes $50,000 a year doesn't need life insurance because they have cash. It's like, that's not the same. So you need like income while you're alive. You need something to actually take care of them that when they pass, and you need to protect your assets. How you pitch those 3 things is based off the value that you build, and then you pitch them and associate, right? Gold, silver, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, right? Group 1, group 2, group 3, or however you want to do that. So that's as much important. Then you have your follow-up. So that's going to be pre and post. So pre follow-up with this is like really important. They're busy, they're working, which is great. Post follow-up is not as important because they're typically like they have bills, they understand like the chargeback rate's not as high, so it's a different demographic. You can get a lot of referrals, and policy reviews are really good because you can pull out more things. So let's say like you put them into a plan to protect the equity in their home or their mortgage or whatever. And then a year later, you find out that they got like $300,000, and then potentially you roll that over or you do something else with it. They have $1 million or whatever it may be. How you build with this, you can build anywhere, honestly. Indeed and ZipRecruiter, I think that would be great. Facebook ads would be phenomenal. You can pay somebody because people would love to come in and like be like, hey, if you're, a mortgage broker, like there's just so many ways that you can grow. It's making me think about, starting an agency, y'all. Like when I talk about this, I'm like, I'm going to get there. Like, it's in my mind. I was talking to my mentor, side note about it. And he's like, yeah, once we, goal is to get to $1 million a month. So once we get to $1 million a month, we'll talk about that. So anyways, so referrals works really well. Then social media. All right. And then how do you ensure everybody gets the same outcome? To me, this is very equatable to like final expense, because once you create that front end process and the sales process, the demographic of people is night and day. You have to know how to pitch. So it's a more difficult sale. Like you just have to know how to sell better. That's kind of the main thing, right? IUL. So let's go do that. So IUL, you're gonna say, hey, do you have control? Most people with IUL leads, they kind of do. Like it, there are places you can buy IUL leads, but like they're either probably paying somebody to run their ads, or they're doing it themselves, or you buy IUL leads. Don't get it twisted. There are companies like even us, we have IUL leads, but a lot of people that are doing advanced market, whole life, infinite banking, for whatever you want to call it, they're kind of probably doing their own thing, right? Do you have knowledge or wisdom to be innovative? Most people don't. They think that the only way to do it is like, yeah, get an IUL and grow your money tax free. It's like, or hey, like use life insurance to become your own bank. That's kind of where it stops. But if you have the wisdom and knowledge and the intellectual, the IQ, I don't even know what IQ stands for, by the way, but that's just a dumb thing to say, if I'm being honest. If you have the tools to be innovative, you will crush it. Okay. Where do leads go? A lot of these people work them in a CRM, not necessarily Google Sheet. You can do volume. Like I have people that buy like our AIDS leads and stuff like that. That's cool. But a lot of times it's a little bit more common to do an IUL or an advanced market lead that's fresh. Okay. How do you work leads? Most of these people are going to hand out very similar to mortgage, not many automated dollars unless you're doing aged. Script. So I have a whole video on this, which is like the intent of the leads. This is the highest intent lead, right? Advanced market is the highest intent lead because the pain points aren't really pain points. It's like pros. Like you're not really pointing on the negatives, all like that, unless you come up with a unique angle, which we'll talk about here in a second. You are essentially pointing at the benefits of what they can do if they work with you. Hey, it's like become money, take your money, multiply it. Like it feels like, so people are open to talk about it. Even age leads, that's why they do well, because they're just open to having a conversation. The pre-frame and the value building is difficult though, because it's not as linear as the others where it's like, hey, supplemental income, cover your final expenses, right? Equity protection, or, cover your assets, cover your income, cover your final, like cover if you pass away. It is more tied to what they have and what they don't have and what they want to do. So those would be the three. It's like, okay, what do you have? What's working? What's not working? What do you want? Well, like what would it look like if we could take a policy and make a policy for you based on your goals? And then it's like, what is the last one I just said? What do you have? What do you want? And dang, I forgot. Brain fart. That lets you guys know this is live because I have no idea. What do you have? What do you want? For the sake of it, we're just gonna say like, what are your goals? But essentially, the purpose I'm trying to get at is like, these are what you're. This is kind of what you're currently doing. Here's like where you would like to go, and then it's like, oh, I can't believe it, I forgot. But you go back and rewatch it because for the sake of it, I don't remember. But you get the point. You're not gonna have much else outside of that because you're selling them the the outcome. It's not as much like, oh man, if something happens, like, because it's not to say that people don't have life insurance because they do, and if they don't, it's like, what do you have? It's like, well, I don't have life insurance. Like, okay, cool. What do you want? It's like, well, I need something to protect my family. It's like, okay, cool. We just need life insurance. Versus, I have all these things, but I want to actually grow my money and do this and this and this. So I'll just say for the sake of it, it's really those two. And then you pitch based off of those things. So it's like, okay, if you want this, and you don't have this, this is like package one, right? Gold, silver, bronze. Like we went through it. I'm not gonna keep going through it, but you get the point. Then you close them, you put in an application, etc. A lot of follow up here because it's not going to typically be a one call close. Sometimes not even two, depending on like the type of person you're working with. You have reminders. So this isn't as important. Just like with the mortgage, you don't need a crazy amount of like draft dates and policy reviews. Though is huge, like huge, because honestly, you should be in contact with them if you're structuring your life insurance with any sort of cash value, and they have questions. They're going to probably come to you, ask you questions about like when they can pull the payments out, etc. Right? So that's very critical. You can build on all platforms here. I think the most effective would probably be Indeed and recruiters, or like platforms for views and recruiters. Not that referrals on social media won't work, but I think people coming in to do that will probably need a level of skill. And typically, referrals on social media don't mean that they're going to be skilled. Also, like, sorry, not skilled. They're going to have experience, or like, no. Because if they don't, then what do we have to do? We have to build a system off this. And this is talking about building a system. So it's like, if you're trying to scale and bring people in, then you'll have to like have a system for each of these, unless you just want to send them the leads. And then they may not ever actually get to that point. Right. So for me, it's like, okay, I would do like Indeed, ZipRecruiter, other platforms, or I pay a recruiter, or I run ads, because then I can call out to that demographic and I can get those people in who have experience. So I would go after like licensed agents who've been in the past, who just want to buy into a system, but understand and like know how to structure policies for cash value growth, etc. That would be the way that you do it. And you ensure everybody gets the same outcome with this once you figure out how you want your people to structure policy. So some agents transparently are like, hey, we're not doing anything for cash value. We want to get the life insurance. We're keeping it simple. We're rolling. Some people are like, hey, we're going to do whole life and we're structuring it for cash value and we're going to do it like this. To each his own. Not to hear to say what's better or worse, but that's how you do it. Next one is the annuity lead system. Okay, so lead generation. 98% of people who do annuity probably have 90%, have their own internal lead system. They have control. Okay. Do you have knowledge or wisdom to be innovative? This is kind of hard to be innovative. The advertising and the copy and the creative is all relatively the same because you're targeting a specific problem with a specific set of people. Now, yes, there are subtle nuances, but understand that this is kind of like straight line, to be honest with you. Most of these leads are going into a CRM. They're being followed up with. You're dealing with a lot of like higher income people. So it's going to be very straight line. Your cost per lead is going to be pretty high, relatively speaking. So you just want to be strategic with that. Sales process is going to be a lot of probably just hand dialing because you're not going to have a lot of leads. Unless you need a lot, but a lot of people won't want that many just because they want to work them properly. The sales process for this is a lot longer. So you don't need a million leads. You just need a pretty solid influx. Intro, pre-frame. I mean, these could be 2, 3, 4, 5 closes. I mean, calls sometimes, honestly. Like I got my guy, I'm sure I'll bring him up. He's been working with me for the past 3.5 years. Literally, like, I'm not lying to you. Just alone, he'll talk to somebody in like January and won't close until August. But when he closes them, it's a crazy payout. So it makes a lot of sense, right? Pitching and then closing. And then you got follow-up. So, you you're going to want to send like reminders. These people are busy. They may have to reschedule. Like it's just a part of it. You don't really probably need to do a lot of like payment draft dates. These are annuities. So like you're not really going to have, it's not going to be set up the same way. Definitely policy reviews, definitely referrals, staying in contact with them. How do you build? This is going to be pretty hard. I'm going to be honest. Probably Facebook ads. Recruiters will struggle. And Indeed, but I would say ads is probably going to be your best because now you're going to have to call out to people like, are you an annuity agent who has XYZ experience and want to join a team? Like that's kind of the easiest way that you could do it. That would make kind of the most sense for you. And I just thought about an idea. Okay. Then how do you ensure everybody gets the same outcome? I'm not going to lie, this is hard because even if you bring in somebody who's knowledgeable, unfortunately, if they're in that financial advisor annuity realm, they are, like a lot of times, just being honest, like kind of stuck in their ways. It's like, okay, this is what I do. This is why I do it. This is how it works. Like, okay, well, cool. If that's how you want to do it, I'm just letting you know we don't do things like that. People kind of get offended, whatever. So something to be aware of. But you can, it just takes time. This is the longest one, like to build a lead system for annuities. It just takes time. Um, right? So now you even wrote it in order. It's like pretty duplicatable, high income, high return. Everybody knows this one. This one's really hard to do, but in my opinion, it's probably the most scalable. This is also pretty hard to do, but it's not as scalable because it takes a unique skill set. And then this is for like the few and far between. And then custom lead system is essentially just so I don't have to go through all these again. The custom lead system is this: you pick a niche, you create a problem that you can solve. Then you do everything I just listed above. So you find like, okay, I want to target homeowners between the age of 30 to 80 who um, want to grow their portfolio, right? So like if you're a homeowner that has XYZ in assets and are looking to do XYZ, then this is how you do it, right? And then you create leads for that. Because life insurance is just a vehicle. That's it. That's it. That's literally it. It's literally meant to get you from point A to point B. And when you're running ads, you're trying to tell somebody, hey, you're here. I'm going to take you here. How you get them there is just what you're using. You're using life insurance. It's like somebody can have a problem with taxes and I could be like, dude, you make more money. And then like taxes will be relevant, but it won't. Cause like if you're making $100,000 and taxes are killing you and you just, it's like, it's relative. The vehicle though is the life insurance, like meaning that how you get that person there is life insurance. Some people will be like, hey man, like you're making 100K, I can save you, instead of you paying 40,000 in taxes, you only pay 10. It's like, okay, it's 30 grand. Or I could just make you an extra 30 grand, right? Or I can make you an extra 200 grand and then you get back 30 grand because after it takes taxes, you still get it, right? It's like, what is the goal? There's a bunch of different ways that you can get there. Life insurance is just that. So I say that to say, if you're thinking about like starting a business and you know the people that you want to target, you just reverse engineer it. Most people think the only way to grow is through this, right? But what we teach is like, dude, when you come in, you can do any of these. And our job is to help you make it come to life. So I hope this video helped. As always, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe. If you are trying to build an internal lead system, this is the process you have to go through. This is what we take our clients through. We just do it in our own unique way. And we break it down in depth, like in terms of like where you're at, what you're trying to do, and how you're trying to grow. So other than that, I will see you all soon. Peace.